This is Slasher here at the end of day 3 of the MLG Spring Championships in Anaheim. I am here with Grubby, who took 2 tough losses against QXC and the STC to end his MLG run. Grubby, you were on vacation before coming here to Anaheim, but you did go out somewhat early for you. Are you satisfied at all with your results this weekend?
Well, I think I played okay in the PVZs against, for example, Hendrilisk. But yeah, my PVT was like a lot worse even than I expected, and that was a bit disappointing. But then I think like, okay, I've had like 7 days of practice after my vacation. I was hoping for more, but I guess I can't expect too much more. And I'm going into 2 weeks of prac now before WCS Premier, which I think is the most important at this moment. So I have a lot to work with.
Coming out of this event, are there any areas specifically that you think you want to focus in on until WCS Premier?
Yeah, so I got like 2 Terrans in my group and 1 Zerg. So I think if I could just practice like PVT for the most part for 2 weeks, I think that would be the best. Like, of course I'm gonna ladder too, but if I'm searching specific practice games, it'll be PVT.
Coming into this event, there was a lot of talk that since there would be less Koreans here at MLG Anaheim, this was one of the best chances for the Western players to get top 8. Naniwa was the only one to do that in the end, with Sase getting 9th through 12th. Is this surprising to you at all?
Is what surprising?
That while there was supposed to be more people that got in, Naniwa was the only one to get top 8, and there were only 2 in the top 12.
I'm not surprised by the way it turned out. It looks like everything as usual. Naniwa doing really well, and I mean, there was like, what was it, 3 Europeans here, 4, and for the rest Koreans and Americans. We all know how people always like to talk about the Americans, even though I lost to one. And you know, I'm not one of those people, but it's funny anyway to reinforce that stereotype. And until someone like properly steps up, the way that Scarlett did before for Canada, then I don't think like players generally don't come out of nowhere. Like if I had done like top 8 here, that would be like extremely surprising, right? Because my results leading up to this haven't been like the narrative of suddenly boom. And like for Naniwa, you know he does well, and you see them coming. You know, and generally in StarCraft 2, you'll see the good players coming. Innovation was rank 1 GM, then he won season 1 finals, you know, that kind of thing. Except if like you have no knowledge whatsoever about a scene, like for example the Kespa scene is quite obscure to us and mired in mystery, then suddenly, yeah, I heard people here like, oh, this is the first time I heard about STX Deer. And I'm thinking like, yeah, you know, then it will seem like they came out of nowhere. But in truth, and how developed the game is now and how good everyone's getting, you don't come out of nowhere. There's usually a narrative where you keep getting better, and people, you know, will say like, oh, that player's playing really good right now. And so I am not surprised by how it went at all. And I'll need, you know, people will need to create their own narrative and confidence, and for people to, you know, be while keeping it hidden, for people to be surprised at that. Yeah.
Now you talk about players not really coming out of nowhere. This MLG event was a return to their old format where it was a 128-man open bracket. There were no premier groups. There was no online qualifier into a major bracket. What do you think about the system that they brought back? Do you believe that this is the way it kind of should be, or would you rather there be a more online component or a smaller amount of players at the event?
I think whether they use online or not, that's pretty much up to them. I think both have their merits. It can be pretty risky for overseas players to participate in an open bracket where they do not have a privileged position. So usually only the most confident the most confident players will come, which is why there's so few people coming from Europe. You know, I was here for the Red Bull Battlegrounds, the training grounds event. And Koreans, of course, they are confident, so they will make that investment and come here because they all, you know, have a realistic chance of doing really well. What's the question?
If you like the format that they brought back, this old school format, or did you like the changes they made over the last year or two? Would you rather bring that one back?
So I think like whether there's online qualies or not, that's okay. Both is okay, and I think, but I think the format is nice. I personally prefer it to the Premier League. I mean, like the privileged group of players who can do no wrong. You can lose 4 games and you're still above a guy who lost only one, that kind of thing. I understand why they did it, so that's fine. I prefer this format personally. The only thing I don't like, which really has to go MLG, is extended series. Not just because I don't like it, but I don't think it makes sense, and most people who I speak to also don't think so. But I think so far it didn't really come into play that much. Like Polt had a 2-0 lead over Naniwa, but Naniwa also came from the loser bracket, so like it's kind of natural to have a disadvantage. But like had Polt been in the loser bracket and had Polt and Naniwa met, and Polt would have a 2-0 lead, that would be like so unfair, I think. But anyway, good system, get rid of extended. Too long didn't read.
At this MLG event, while most of the players actually have been pretty happy with the way things have gone, there has been some worry that it's spread across about how maybe this one was not as big as some of the older events, might not be on the biggest stage here. Is there any concern for you about how StarCraft is right now with MLG?
Oh, I think MLG did a fantastic job here, and especially considering they had the whole natural disaster thing a few weeks ago, where they lost all their TriCasters and stuff in the flood or tornado or whatever. I'm not big on natural disasters. We don't have anything in Netherlands. We just have some earthquakes, mild ones. But I think it was tornado and leakage, right? That's terrible. Like for something to happen 2 weeks in advance like that, that must be like nightmarish in terms of trying to get a good event going. But they did. They did a great event. People seem really happy. We've got big crowds. Players having a really good time. I think everyone is really positive about this MLG. Yeah, I loved it too.
Lastly, there was a new patch for StarCraft 2. We've gone through maybe half a year. Heart of the Swarm came out. What are your general thoughts about the game as it is right now?
I think it's pretty good overall. I can't point out one strongest or one weakest race. I think player skill is at this point much more important. But everyone I speak to, including Terrence, think Hellbats are too strong. The Protoss Zerg, Terran all think so. And there's much joking between players about Hellbats. But
so this is something that really does need to be addressed.
Oh yeah, like the very second I saw like Hellbat damage type and cost and HP, like 30 damage, 100 minerals, 135 life, healable by both. Like it just doesn't make sense. But well, the good thing is that before Hellbats, you had to be Korean to be able to play Terran properly. So in Europe, you had like 3 good Terrans, like Cass, Lucifron, mostly Cass Lucifron. And then like the third would change between different players. But now with Hellbat, because it's like easier to use unit, like more attack move style, and you can just drop it and it will always do something, the Terrans have had a resurgence. So now in Europe, like the races are more balanced. You have some Terrans, some Protoss, some Zerg. And whereas before, you had to be Zerg to win tourneys in Wings of Liberty. You had to be Protoss to beat Koreans or Zerg. And Terrans, like you're just shit out of luck. So like I think it's good that Hellbats exist, but they just need to be a bit tuned down.
I don't think many people would disagree with how you think. Thank you, Grubby, for the interview, and good luck at WCS Premiere in just 2 weeks.
Thanks very much, Slasher. Bye.
Stay tuned to GameSpot.com/esports for coverage all weekend long of the MLG Spring Championships.